If the relationship ended on a bad note, that's how you know both of you are operating from a state of low vibration.
Welcome to the Better Man Podcast with Ivan and Sumed. This podcast is all about how to be an optimal, conscious male in today's society. Join Ivan and Sumed as they go deep into the rabbit hole of personal growth, mindset, social dynamics, and spirituality. Are you ready to be a better man?
Idly how, neighborinos? Ugly.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Better Man Podcast. I'm Ivan.
I'm so mad.
We're glad to have you back again with the white vans.
Daniel.
I hope that did not make you cringe. And if it did, congratulations, you're a normal person.
Bro, your spoon sounds like a singing bowl for
It
real.
sounds really good, right? What are we gonna talk about today?
We're gonna talk about how to get over your breakup, how to get over your ex.
How to get over your ex. How to get over your breakup. You been there, bro?
Yeah, man.
You're still there?
For real. It's a process. You know, a lot of people forget that it's a process. You know,
I got the secret formula.
well, we can't give it to him just yet. We gotta do the affirmation of the day.
Oh, shit. All right, bro. You want to do it?
Yeah, I got it. All right. I am majestic.
I am majestic.
I feel how I want to feel.
I feel like an ice cream cone on top of a steak.
Yeah, you can just insert your own in here, like how you want to feel. And then the last one is I am constantly taking baby steps towards my purpose.
I am constantly taking baby steps towards my purpose. Pretty good, Well, I want to start off with a story. So one time my girlfriend, at the time she broke up with me. I was 18 years old, right? And, she blocked me on social media. She locked my phone number too. Maybe she didn't block my phone number. I don't know. Who knows? And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to her house. I'm gonna bring Chick-fil-A, which is like some like you've seen Chick-fil-A on social media, right? And she really liked the chicken nuggets there. So it's night now, it's dark, right? Can't really ring on her doorbell. Parents will come, right? And so what I did instead was I snuck into the back, right? And I go to her window and I knock, and I see she's there, and I knock on the window, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" I just hold up the fucking Chick-fil-A, right? And I smile, right? You know that big smile, that big dog smile, the happy puppy smile.
Yeah.
Just like love me, just like love me. That smile. Do you like me? Are you happy with me? That smile. And then she was on the phone, right? She just stayed on the phone. I was like, what? What the fuck?
That's cool.
That's weird, right? Like, I'm here. Are you really just gonna ignore me? Right? Like, not a little, just a little harder, not too much harder. So, when she was on the phone, right? And she said to the person, hold on, I'll be right back, right? But I'm pretty sure she told him too, like, I don't know who she was talking on the phone with. Could have been whoever, right? Um, and she said, he's here. I'm pretty sure she was talking about it as well in that moment. Which makes sense, like law of attraction, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she leaves her room, right? She exits the door, she closes it, right? She's in her pajamas. And I was like, oh shit, we're gonna get back together, like we're gonna talk it out, like it's gonna be a fucking like a good time. Everything's gonna get back to normal, right? Back to normal, we'll get back together with it. And then, right, I wait for like a minute or two. I hear the back door open, right? With the way the back is structured, um, you can't really see the door open because it's like the wall kind of sticks out, and then like so I couldn't see it. And I turned and I'm waiting there to see her, and the next thing you know, I see her dad, and I was like, nigga, and I just turned around and I started walking, and then I think he said some shit like, get out of here. He's just walking towards me, and I was just like, yeah, yeah. I'm really fucking upset. You know? Yeah, really fucking upset. And then I get into my car. I'm in the car with my sister. Turns around. She takes off. She's driving. I don't know. At this point, I'm almost about to cry. And then she comes. She turns around, right? And and my friend Saban goes and takes his book that I had of her. It was mine too. So we were actually supposed to move to London together to university. And one week she would write in it, and the next week I would write in it. We would just exchange the book, right? It was like we're writing pen pals to each other. But what happened was he gets out and he takes it to the door along with you know what I think I tried to leave the Chick-fil-A on the porch, right? I tried, and then I see round two, and the dad was hiding in the shadows, and I was like, "Fuck, bro!" And then finally, Savan was taking the thing. He's like, "I'm not hiding, don't hurt me." He's like, "This is Aaron's." Da, da, da. And I had wrote a message in the second page of that book, like, I said, or whatever. But I just read it. I don't know. I just remember like walking back to the car and being like, I just wanted to like the mom and her come out. And they're in the front of the door, right? You see the light on. You can see they're kind of far away. Quite late, very late. It was dark, and I was just like, I just wanted to say something before I went to London. Was you actually gonna go to London in like a month later? But like the next day, school, I was gonna take a Europe trip, right? And I remember I got home and I just started smoking weed. Like I was so fucking upset. Like I was really bothered by that whole experience and the whole breakup, the way it ended. it ended like the day before. Like we were just like, I was like ignoring her. She was calling me and I kept ignoring her. I was really pissed. Um, and then eventually, like I was calling her and she was calling me back. And I was fucking, I don't know. I think I was telling her, "You're gonna break up with me. You're gonna break up with me. You're gonna break up with me." Right. Next day, she broke up with me.
Words create your worlds, guys. So
and and the reflection here was I realized that anger conflict that we had is very similar to fights that my parents used to have.
That's deep, man.
Right.
I feel that for my own experiences. Man, you know what? As you were speaking, I was just thinking of like that was cold, and then I was thinking about like what's cold, and then I thought of the movie Frozen.
Ice cold.
The movie Frozen, and girls always watch movies that like make fun of us. You know what I mean? Like Frozen, like Ice Cold, LOL, like. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
What are you saying, bro? What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
I don't know what I'm trying to say and communicate right now, but I mean, like, for instance, if you think of all the chick flicks on the planet Earth, like, think of a chick flick name.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, right? Mean Girls. It just proves my point again. You see, so it's all also society's constructs that make women act like Wild Child. Is another chick flick, right? With Emma Roberts. I used to really like Emma Roberts. Anyway. But yeah, like a Wild Child, Mean Girls, like all this, like you get a certain type of personality type to make women a little bit more loco than they actually are. And I feel like that's society telling them, trying to tame them. Or like even constructing that image of like the crazy woman who's, overly emotional or cannot be tamed or controlled, or like a raging brush fire in a sense, and it's being curtailed by society, by movie titles.
I sort of see what you're saying. I can kind of see what you're saying.
That's going really deep into it.
like I can totally agree in some aspect and say that they have been making, like, they try to put this thing like, oh, it's sort of like this like arrogance. It's like this arrogance of being a woman, right? We can call it that. An arrogance vibrates below the average of the consciousness that you're in the world today. I can totally see that, but I think naturally women are kind of crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of like media portrays
naturally, their beingness is just a little bit wild. It's just a little bit out there.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, you don't necessarily have to equate sass or wildness with femininity. Like there doesn't need to be that case, but at the same time, like perhaps it's created by the experience itself of just like I embracing my own femininity have become wild and sassy and arrogant and vain and creative.
Well, I think it is. I
felt like a pretty girl at times. You know what I mean? Like I felt that way.
Well,
so I totally resonate with
the law of gender says that there's a gender to everything.
Yeah.
There's a gender to everything, right? So you can say there are certain aspects of the feminine that are not. Let's just call them.
Like if I were to tap into my feminine right now, I would be like, man, I look better in this fight.
Yeah, totally. There's also negatives of the masculine, right? Which can be this dominance, this wanting to control, right?
Yeah, and that's what media portrays as toxic. But masculinity in itself is not toxic. It's just a byproduct of being overly, um, let's say,
Overly masculine. Not,
overly masculine.
there are certain aspects of masculinity
Like
that are not
violence,
good,
for instance.
that are not good.
Yeah.
Right. But let's get back to the topic of breakups. Right. What was that for me? The story that I told, that was that breakup that pushed me into a depression, and after that, I came out on top. After that, I came out like a success. Like it pushed me to read tons and tons of books. Like that whole book a week type shit. Bill Gates. I felt like a Bill Gates as me, bro. You know.
Yeah.
So
Were you still reading when you were in a relationship or not?
nah, bro. I never read, bro.
Oh, really?
I didn't read. No, dude. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
so it's a catalyst.
It was an extreme catalyst. I'm very happy. Thank you, Aaron, for Namaskar. Namaskaram, She was lit. She was fucking lit.
I remember my first breakup, which I instigated with this girl, because I felt like we were more like on a friendly page. Like we were romantic, we were intimate, but it wasn't moving to the. I guess I was just like a horny kid, you know what I mean? And I wanted more sex out of the relationship. And so it's kind of a selfish way of cutting her off. But when I was at that moment, when I was breaking up with her, she gave me a gift. And that was the worst feeling. It's like somebody giving you something, you feel like giving something back, not ending something, right? And so inside me, I felt this need to like overcompensate and like tell my side of the story of why I have to do this. And I came up with some kind of bullshit. Like, I don't even know what I said. I was like, I don't think I'm really ready to be in a relationship right now. Like all this kind of shit, that just came out of me. And
I'm gonna still accept your gift, though.
I did.
I did, bro. God damn.
Hey, guess what, man? It was a Mickey Mouse hat. It was a wizard Mickey Mouse hat with colors in there.
Fuck, bro. I'm ending the podcast right now, bro. Alright, guys. See you later. Where's the fucking button, bro? No, we're fucking ending the fucking podcast right now.
I'm so sorry, Natalie, that I did.
And her name was Natalie? God damn. I have a cousin named Natalie, bro. You basically broke up with my family. You said fuck your DNA, Ivan.
Basically, I did. So yeah, that was really difficult for me, in fact. And I felt like I evolved after that. I definitely matured after that. I started to definitely go out more, meet more women during that time. And eventually I started just having a friends with benefits type of situation with this one girl. And I remember getting very deep, very clingy, very intimate, very serious with her very fast. And she didn't really want me to show a
lot of berries in there.
Yeah, very.
Next thing you know, you're eating berries off of her.
Did I do that? No. I wish. But anyway, the point being is that once I got myself, I guess, back into the dating matrix, I found myself being a lot more playful after that, not like reserving myself. So, and speaking more of my truth. And that's always been an issue of like, how can I speak my honest truth to this individual without offending them? Or have them speak their truth to me without offending me? Because it becomes this game of offense. So coming back to breakups, right? Like I've recently been through a breakup, which again I instigated. I think I instigated it. So it was like 8 months ago, and I've been going through a trial version of, once you it's like when you download a program, a software on your computer, and you get rid of it, and then your computer has to find, sometimes there's guys who want to find replacement softwares for that software that's missing. So let's say that your Premiere Pro is missing. Like, you're now looking like shit. Like, I need at least some Adobe something, like. So you try and like make up for it by going into new relationships, but that is where actually
You're
it's-
downgrading you get for more.
yeah, you start to downgrade, exactly. And the thing is, what you downgrade, yeah, exactly. That's my metaphor. That's what I was going for anyway. But the idea is that it was really what people would describe as a toxic relationship in the way that, and she's probably saying I'm the toxic one. I'm probably saying that she's the toxic one.
But really,
But
you were both
We were
toxic.
both toxic for each
You
other.
were
Like,
both fucking toxic.
and the thing is, when relationships begin, we often have this kind of social mask that we wear in order for ourselves to feel, fulfilled. And we play this game. It's like cat and mouse. It's like chasing and we do this so we get validation. And this is what I ultimately realized is that I don't need a relationship to be validated that I'm a good person or I'm happy or I'm fulfilled, right? So that was one of the biggest realizations is that I don't need to look for any kind of attributes that I can't find within myself. And after a breakup, you go through this discovery period. And I think those discovery periods are very important. So don't rush into anything new. Don't downgrade. Don't, try and find random software.
Take the fucking time to heal.
You might get viruses, you know what I'm saying? So
Look,
you might get STDs, viruses.
how do you know if you or her? How do you know if both of y'all were being very low vibrational? As much as you want to be fucking cocky about all the books that you fucking read and the courses you've done, the people you work with, if the relationship ended on a bad note, that's how you know both of you are operating from a state of low vibration. If both of you, I'm gonna say it one more time, because I know it's sort of, you're gonna pretend like maybe that wasn't you. But if it ended on a tough note, on a bad note, somebody cried, people cried, right? It was either you, right?
I'm reminded by that quote by BoJack Horseman. You know the one I'm talking about?
Dude, he always brings this up, bro. Watch, this is what he's gonna say. No, this is what he's gonna say.
Say it for them, bro. They're waiting.
Whenever you look at the world through rose-colored sunglasses, red flags just look like flags.
Exactly. So when you're in love with someone, you might just let them get away with a bunch of things, right? And not even see it as codependence or narcissism or anything along those lines. It is what it is. I'm in love with this person, so I'll accept them fully.
And what you have to realize is you're not actually in love. You're not. You're in the idea of love. You think that's what it is. Right? But a lot of times you have to admit to yourself, was I low vibrational? Yes or no? Yes.
One of the other big
Then,
epiphanies.
just one question, which let me finish this thought, is all your relationships will continue to suffer unless you raise in your vibration. All of them. Because if you don't heal the parts of your child that need to be healed, yes, the parts of your child that need to be healed, then you will continue to look for relationships that are trying to overcompensate for that healing.
Yeah.
But if you don't even know what is even actually wrong with you, and you don't accept that you need to change, you won't find the memories. This is how it happens. You literally find the memory, and then you let it leave your body. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's really how it is.
Yeah. So, man, I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Well, basically, watch. Whenever I do healing sessions with people, right? Because I think it's one of the most important things to do. What people will happens to them, and I know this happens to them, they don't have to tell me, is that they'll just get random traumatic events that pop into their mind, random moments where they were sad, happy, angry, or emotional, or whenever they were told this or that, when beliefs were ingrained into them, right? And as I'm healing them, they'll be like, oh shit, what the fuck? That's weird. They'll be like, why did I actually believe that? That's actually really dumb and da 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 da. But it's because it's stuck inside your body and you don't think it's there. It's not something that needs to be worried about because your subconscious is playing a game of hide and seek with you, right? Where it knows what's wrong because your higher self knows what's wrong, but because your subconscious can't tell the difference between right or wrong, it just thinks it's right and it doesn't, it's just there, right? So this, what happens is that higher conscious begins to flow through you, through the energy work that we do. It's a combination of my healing through my hands, through healing from breath work, breathing. There's specific breathing that we have to do that opens up and allows the flow of energy, and then you, because you're just so much smarter now, you're able to bring that new reflection into the old reflection, into the old things that were going on, and you think, well, that's actually not it.
Right, from something you said that just something I got to download. So, you know, when we're in a relationship, we feel like our identities start to merge with that person. And so when that, what you do is trauma release essentially, right? And so a breakup is a trauma, and in the word itself, break up, right? It's like a cracking of the self. And so what tends to happen is we become fragmented in our personalities. Like, this person is no more in my life. And so I feel fragmented. But if you are holistic and whole to begin with, you won't feel this fragmentation.
Totally. So we're getting into relationships trying to fill parts of ourselves.
We go into relationships 50% trying to like be, you know,
trying to become more.
Yeah.
Trying to get the other person to make us more, instead of trying to be like, hey, can I make this person more?
Yeah.
As soon as you shift into how can I make this person more, you're on a whole other ballgame, right? But first you have to heal yourself. It sounds easy to just force yourself to do it, but and the reality is I'll say, oh, what can I do to help this person grow? But really, it'll be like a little voice in your head going like, yeah, but she
yeah. It's like, you know, there's a lot of ego clashes that also tend to happen in many relationships. Especially, I've noticed it. A lot of my arguments, my fights were from this protection mechanism within myself telling me I have to appear a certain way, I have to do a certain thing, and I have to say the right kind of thing or be the right type of person. And all of that is persona fatigue, judgment fatigue, decision-making fatigue that comes up within the arguments and things that happen. So what I would reflect upon is to get better at communication. Like, this is what I really delved into afterwards, after this breakup that I recently went through, is delve deep into how my language affects the world. Because I started to understand that a lot of our fights used to be miscommunications and misjudgments. So I wasn't saying things clearly. I was sort of beating around the bush or going out or being passive or being, you know, sort of not fully expressive in the way that I could have. And so when I started to explore more mentors and people who speak freely into the camera, they say fuck, shit, nipple, and they're not afraid to do that in that specific order.
They're not fucking shit on nipples. Yeah,
actually. And they're just being expressive human beings. They're not censoring themselves. They're not holding themselves back. They're fully being their authentic and highest selves in that way. And, you know, when I started watching those people speak, like, you know, I'll give you a few examples. Brian Mark, if you're watching, Arashti Lazar.
Oh, Brian Mark.
Yeah. Oh, this guy, that guy.
I know, right?
Anyway, yeah, he's a fitness trainer. But yeah, he had a podcast called Radical Honesty, where he would just talk with his friend. And when I was listening to that, I was like, damn, this guy's revealing everything. This guy's fucking honest, man. This guy's just putting it all on the table. And once you do that, it's just this liberation that just kicks in. It's like, I'm not hiding anything anymore. My shadow self isn't a shadow anymore. It's a freaking like, it's a spotlight. So
Spotlight, moonlight.
moonlight. Yeah. So to get your mood right, you got to get in the moonlight. And we're 70% water or 80%, so the moon affects that too.
Yeah, and you're like 99% air and 99% empty space. So just make sure you're breathing good.
When we talk, actually, we inhale. We exhale more than we inhale. Do you notice that we're exhaling?
When we talk, of course.
And so that's actually not helping our arteries to dilate. It's doing something to our mechanism that is not allowing us to be healthier and deeper with our words. So I think meditation and yoga and pranayama and whatever practice you have, breath work, will help you to communicate better and clearer.
So
it just clears up the emotional gunk, the emotional junkyard.
So that's the spiritual side of it, right? But I think it's important to do the spiritual and psychological work.
Yeah.
Right, which is what I fucking love to do with my clients. Just dropping little hints there. And we get to work on your mind and the experiences that shape your life, right? Because the way the brain works is you already know what you're going to do. No matter what circumstances pops up, no matter what, anything that happens, you already have an answer to it.
Yes.
Right? Even if you don't know what's gonna happen, right? Because it's gonna bounce. Let's just say like your mind is like these two walls, right? And on the wall is constructed by bricks, and each brick is a belief system. It's your experiences, memories that you have from your childhood, things that your teachers told you, your uncles, your mom, your sister, TV, whatever, right? Even your DNA, right? And that's what these two walls of bricks are made out of, right? Yeah. Now, let's just say anything that happens to you, a simple example, someone comes into the house and they start yelling, como terrorista, and then next thing you know, you thought they were gonna do Harlem Shake, and they start doing the fucking Gangnam Style, right? Yeah. You already have an answer in your brain of what you would do in that situation, secretly. You don't have to invent it. It's innate. Yeah. It's innate. Totally. Yeah. Can you describe the word innate a bit more?
Innate is like the instinctual biological reaction that kicks in whenever you are attributed to a certain activity. So it's basically a lot to do with your genetics and your genetic makeup, as well as your instinctual primal reaction to something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So innate is a good word. So if you notice, most of the thoughts that you have today and this whole week are the exact same thoughts that you had 10 years ago. They're very, very similar. They're like 80% spot on.
Bro, you mean I'm still thinking about booty? Oh, wait.
Oh, I am. You mean I'm still thinking about my hair? You mean I'm still thinking about my food that I'm going to eat? You mean I'm still thinking about fitness? You mean I'm still thinking about this and this and this and that? Right? The majority of your thoughts are the exact same thing. You're still thinking about your grades. You're still thinking of making money. You're still thinking about like cell phones, right? You're still thinking about like picture quality. You're still thinking about like how you sound. You're still thinking about how you're gonna dress. You're still thinking about everything. Everything's basically the same.
Basically, maybe your flip phone turned into an iPhone, but it's still a phone.
Still a phone, right? So we have to look back at our memories and see. We have to construct a circle because we're only moving through circles, right? it finishes and starts over, right? It's a cycle. It's a circle of life. It's a cycle, and we're constantly moving through new cycles.
Yeah.
Right. But they're just the old experiences in the new way, right? So you might have had that breakup with that girl, but you probably also had a very similar breakup in a very similar relationship with another girl, and you probably ended in the same way. You probably like I could definitely say that breakup that I spoke to you about, there were other ones that terminated very similarly, right? And we gotta look into this, and we find that sex was a common link for me, right? Smashing them booty cheeks was a common link for me.
That was your pattern.
That was a pattern that I captured specifically.
The booty cheek loop.
There's more stuff to it, obviously, right? But it's this.
You were stuck in the booty cheek loop.
Yeah, bro, in the booty cheek loop. And you could say I was addicted to the sex, right?
To the sex.
To the sex. Yeah, I was addicted to the sex, right? And it was the chasing of sex that these relationships were based largely on sex and on touching each other's body and feeling and like obtaining something specific.
Yeah.
Trying to
Let me ask you this.
And trying to fill our root chakra and our sacral chakra. Right?
I was gonna ask you, what did sex do for you? I mean, what was the byproduct of you?
You know what? I'll be totally honest. When I was younger, my dad would say, "How many girlfriends are you gonna have?" And I'd be like, "I'm gonna have 10. I'm gonna have 20. I'm gonna have right?" And my mom would be in the kitchen. And my mom would be like, "No, just one." And I'd be like, this one. Like I would be like a million, right? Well, see, it's not whether it was good to, yeah, it's not whether it was bad to have one girlfriend or many girlfriends. What was bad about this was because it was the way that I was seeking validation from my dad. So to me, having my girlfriend was like proof to my dad that I wasn't gay. Because he would think that I'm gay if I did did a man bun. You know, like some stupid shit like that, right?
Dads be like that.
Unconscious dads be like that, right? People in the fucking blue stage of Spiral Dynamics. And I wanted his validation, right? So I would try to fulfill my validation through women. Be like, well, maybe if I date this girl, if I fuck this girl, if I have sex with a bunch of girls, then I'll have the validation, right? But no, still no. You see, for some people, unless you are exactly who they want you to be, then they won't fully love you. Because the reality is they can only love you to the limit that they love themselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're measuring ourselves by their metric. One thing that I told my clients is, by whose metric are you measuring yourself? Right?
Stop using their ruler to measure your success.
Whatever they think success is, whatever they think amazing is, handsome is, big, whatever they think a big dick is, whatever they think of fucking masculinity, femininity is, doesn't necessarily matter as much as what you think it is. Right? But I'm not saying to don't use society as a pinpoint to know if you're doing something right or wrong. Because if a majority of people are disturbed by it, It still doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, right? But it means you should look into it further, with further analysis.
Right. This is, yeah, an element of this is like if someone calls you cocky, like two people call you cocky, it's like whatever, man. You know what I mean? Like, but if thousands of people start saying that, maybe just look into it a little. That's all we're saying.
Because it still doesn't mean that you are cocky or not cocky, right?
It's just pointing like a little flashlight towards it. And if you want, you can look into it.
So the biggest thing that you can take here from this specific idea is who's the person saying it?
Right.
Who is the person that's saying those things to you? And what do they have what do they have? Because if a lot of people will tell you what to do and say that you're doing it wrong, but they've never even fucking done it.
Right. It's like you're looking for advice for business from someone who's never ran a business. Or you're looking for advice on like what is the best kind of footwear to wear from the guy who works at the store who has never like purchased any shoes in his life or whatever.
Like all these motherfuckers be giving you life advice, but look at their fucking life. What does their fucking life show you? All these motherfuckers think that they know. But look at their fucking life. Look at the results of their life.
Right. How are they embodying their philosophy of the world?
Because every single person thinks that they know. Everyone thinks that they know. Even I fucking think that I know sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I have to remind myself I don't know shit. If I tell myself I don't know shit, I'm more likely to know more than you. Because you already think you know, so you're not going to look for the answers.
Yeah, asking for help and learning and being coachable is one of the things that I've really had to push myself towards doing. Like I used to read books and be like, yeah, I know it. But until I've actually gotten a mentor or I've gotten myself to experience that feeling in the real world, it's been the information nugget has been pointless. So what I would advise you do is do the thing to get the power to do the thing. So before doing the thing, you'll justify doing the thing. You'll think about doing the thing. You'll tell your friends, yo, I'm about to do this thing, man. But before you actually do the thing, you don't have the reference experience or you don't have the kind of understanding of what that feels like.
Mm-hmm. So you need to experience it first. And then you can look for the answers and the knowledge. Because otherwise, you'll just be having pointless knowledge that you have no. It's like having like insurance your whole life, but you never got hurt. I mean, sure you might. I mean, I'm not saying go get insurance, but just take that metaphor lightly. You know, as in.
Yeah, honestly, guys, take everything we say with a grain of salt, please. Like, don't take some random piece of advice that you hear on the Better Man podcast and then be like, but they told me to do it. But they told me.
Because the thing is, even still, we are speaking through our experience, right? So, but does that mean that what we're saying to you doesn't have value to you? It's totally not true.
Right on.
Right, but like even this has happened where I take something from a podcast or somebody says it, but they didn't coach me through it. So I'm over here doing the whole thing incorrectly this whole time, right? Yeah. I'm over here trying to like where you watch like game videos and they tell you to like, oh, push the girl or whatever, and you fucking push her, but you get no result, right? So you realize that you hear something and you think you know it, you heard it, you think you know it, and then you do it, and you continue to do it, and you continuously don't get results. But if you get coached on how to do it, you'll do it way fucking quicker.
Learning curve. So it skips a lot of years of your life, actually.
Like, what's more important, time or money? If money is more important to you,
good luck.
Well, try giving it to death. See what he fucking tells you.
Think of this metaphor of someone like storing water in their home. In terms of thinking about money, it's like, it's my water. these are my jugs of water. No one else can have it. You know what I mean? Think of money like that. Because money is water, right? It's flowing, it's constantly circulating. So you're thinking about this guy with thousands of like jugs and stacks of cash. Like, what are you actually doing with that? You know, besides the fact that showing that you have this wealth. Okay, portrayal of wealth is different than what you actually do with that wealth. You know what I mean? So that's another thing to think about. Again, let's bring it back to breakups, bro.
I think it's all tied together. I think all of this is tied together with breakups.
Yeah.
Like, it all just makes sense. Like, because the breakup is not just the breakup. The breakup is what led because of your whole life.
Yeah, because a relationship, right, is how we relate to another person. That's what the word relation is in it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in this ship, think of it like a ship, and you're on this ship together, and you miscommunicate or you ignore the other person, you stop communication, stop giving attention, stop giving time, everything away from them.
You're gonna fucking think you're going north, but you end up going east.
Right. And a lot of men have this habit of like suppressing things and not speaking it out with their partners.
Yeah, bro.
You know
And then
what I mean?
next thing you know, you end up in the fucking Bermuda Triangle. And you fucking disappear. Where the fuck are you? You're with the aliens. That's what happened.
Word. Oh man. So yeah, in speaking of inner child healing, what I've done is I found a photo of me as a kid. It doesn't look anything like me. I'm just realizing now,
bro.
Even then, Ivan was just saying like, "Who the heck is this guy?"
Like, I look at my paper pics. I look like me, bro.
I don't look like me.
But this dude did some fucking
alchemy, sorcery.
He did some fucking, like, he thought about changing his face and he changed his face. Like,
I actually did. I used biokinesis.
I mean, I changed my face a bit. He used music. It wasn't my thing. I never used music. I just changed the way I felt about myself. And I just became,
Well, it's also about the predominant thoughts in your mind. You know, so if you keep thinking of yourself in a specific manner, your looks will also change according to that.
of course. I've known beautiful women that became fucking ugly because of the way they thought about themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
you know, also, guys, I want to remind you of this, okay? So when you're having
size matters.
Besides that, I mean, we all know it matters. Come on now.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't actually. It actually doesn't. Just think about this. Chicks fuck other chicks.
Right.
They don't even have a dick.
Word.
God damn it. You just don't know how to fucking use it. But you think you know how to use it. But you fucking don't. God damn it. Sex advice from Ivan. I'll give you the best fucking sex advice. I'm a double Scorpio.
Word actually is. Wait, so yeah, so what I was saying is when you're having conversation,
Next episode.
when a woman is saying, babe, I feel really insecure about my body, right? You can be like, okay, and move on from the topic, right? A lot of guys are just like, fine, all right, sure. I guess.
They'll be like, no, but you're not though. But you're not.
Yeah,
You're
exactly. Or they do that. Or they're like,
you're really hot.
no, but you're so cute though. You're so beautiful. What do you mean? Or they could just be like, you know, I'm insecure sometimes about my body too. You know, we could try going to the gym together if it supports you and boosts you more. And, you know, we can work on this thing together. You know, that's a lot more healthier type of way of approaching that situation.
And you know what? You brought up a really good point. Don't give her advice. Right? That's not the way the female brain works.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't tell her what to do and how to change. And
like if she asks you though, then give that advice to her, right?
Yeah, I made the mistake.
But let her talk it out. Because that's how her, like, why do you think women gossip so much? Because they're just talking it out. That's how they process shit, right? But men, we like to internalize things, right? So the thing here we could learn from women here is that if after a breakup, talk it out with your fucking homies. If you need to fucking cry it out, don't be a bitch and fucking cry it out. If you want to cry and you don't cry, then you're being a fucking bitch. But if you cry and you wanted to cry, that's more fucking manly. Straight the fuck up. Straighter than your fucking dick.
On a y-axis and an x-axis. Oh wait, that's so excellent.
Get your fucking parabola ass looking dick out of here, bro. Nerd joke. Nerd joke.
My past relationship is an x-axis and a y-axis. X's, we were like, oh, X's, you know, X's past relationship. And a Y, like, why the fuck did I get into this shit?
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean?
Pursue a career in stand-up comedy.
Hey. Anyway, what was that Woody the Woodpecker type shit?
I know. That's what I know.
Anyway, dang, I was gonna mention something really profound.
No, you weren't.
I was, bro.
Bro,
that just slipped my mind.
I think your Rudraksha beats don't have enough. Like, they don't make it to the 100.
They don't have enough charge.
I think these are the fake plastic ones. They look real.
Hell no, bro. These are from all the way from the Himalayas.
Walmart.
Oh, bro.
These are fucking Amazon ass Rudraksha beads.
Nah, Amazon ass. That's like someone buying like crystals from Walmart. The
I
heck?
mean, I'm sure they might have them, but they won't be published that way.
Published. It's like a book of crystals. So yeah, make eye contact with your younger self. That really helps for inner child healing. And also be inspired by the feminine. You know, when you see that beautiful girl, or when you see her, you know, and this is for heterosexual guys, obviously, like if you're into this, it's fine as well. We don't want to say anything against that, you know. And like, even if you're you see an attractive dude or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you can definitely approach it in a similar way in terms of understanding his yin. There's a yin solution to a lot of things in life, which is just to receive, to relax, to soften. So that means if you just take your problem that you're dealing with right now and you stay with it, you don't run away from it. You stay with it, you stay in. You receive it, you allow it to pass. You breathe into it. And time will heal it. It's like the way nature works, right? So if you have fire, nature already puts that fire out. You see? However, if you add fuel to that fire every couple of minutes, you're going to keep that fire going. But nature has an automatic way of just letting it
So
go.
the trick is to just make the fire as big as you need to make it. Just let out all the fucking fumes from your lighter. Let it burn.
Yeah.
And then extinguish it.
Not all at once. You know, you don't want to pop the balloon with all your tension from years of pent-up aggression. That's how school shootings and shit happen. So I don't want you to.
Well,
like,
I would say that no. Well, the thing is, there's a difference between like. It's like you should express that, but it's how you should express it. How you should express it in a healthy way, right? Because I can take out my anger in a punching bag. I can take out my anger on your face, right? And they're both the expression, but one's healthy and one's not.
One has negative consequences.
Yeah, but the punching bag might hurt my hand.
Yeah, basically, like how you choose to take this information, right? So essentially, you want to understand that the information we're giving you is, you can take it in whatever way that you choose, but I would advise you to release and hold that. So like, think of it like you're holding onto a balloon. And if you let that balloon go all at once, it's gonna be chaotic. There's gonna be ants flying everywhere, wizards popping out of your Pandora's box, freaking like an Illuminati, government that's trying to trap you down. All this shit is just gonna keep flying out. But if you take it easy, open that Pandora's box very slight, you let out the demons, you close it up. Let out some demons and you close it back. Similarly, how you're letting go of a balloon and you're holding onto the nozzle. And you go, shh, shh. Release, breath work, showering, crying it out when you need to, laughter, yoga, whatever you need, whatever is your tool, your mechanism, and allow yourself to fully let it go. And also, one session of trauma release can let it go all at once as well. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But certain people, when they keep their rage infused inside themselves for a specifically very long time, and they don't express that in any way, it becomes very toxic. So it's like it becomes like poison. So instead of holding that poison and harboring it within, you want to just take those poison pellets out a little bit and just arrange them side by side so you can actually notice the chaos. And you know, after a while, some people thrive in chaos more than others. For some people, a little bit of chaos puts their mind at disease. So understand that you want to be able to be that calm at the center of the storm, especially when shit's going down and you're going through breakup. Like if you don't hold on to your values during that time, it is going to start affecting your personality and identity type and the type of person.
But the thing is, you probably weren't already holding on to your values, and that's why it ended up in that direction.
Right.
But anyway, something I want to point out, I totally disagree with you, Sumit, about opening a little, let it all out, opening a little, let it out, like a few demons, let them out, and then close it up. Like the demons were gonna come out anyway, right? That's how I feel about it, and I feel like that's just another way of you just trying to control yourself, right? And this idea of trying to control yourself, when you do that, you're actually not allowing yourself to express yourself fully, right? Because what's gonna happen if you just fucking act out? Like, I believe in releasing it all as much as you can in that moment, right? Because you notice there's more. There's a lot more than you think that there is.
I mean, look, if you're doing it what you're saying in a healthy way, by all means go for it. But if you're like, you start slapping babies, you start going crazy, and while you start graffitiing your ball sack, look, there's ways of doing this releasing that are healthy and you know, very primal, and you know, yelling it out in the forest in the middle of nowhere, or like punching bag, that's fine, you know, trauma release. But if you're doing something that is harming you or anybody else for that matter, it might be a bit of a destructive type of behavior. Maybe it's called for in a certain moment. However, it might not be ideal. You get what I'm saying now?
Yeah, bro, but the analogy that you gave does not say what you just said.
Years of pent-up aggression, right? Think about this. You have years of sadness inside you, and you never let it out. You just hold it in, bottle it in for years. So if you try and do something a little bit that is a release, it might come out all at once. Or it can be a systematic way of approaching each of your days, where you can have releases throughout the day so that you're an empty balloon in a sense. You have no pressure inside of you building. You know what I mean? But if you let out all that,
I'm sorry, I blanked out, bro. I was thinking about running events and shit.
So anyway, okay, let's agree to disagree.
No, bro. You were saying balloon stuff.
Yes, so a person who's been trapping trauma in their bodies or sadness in their bodies and harboring it, it'll become a disease eventually, right? If they keep holding it inside them. So instead of like letting out, you can't let all the demons out at once. You know what I mean? If you let all the demons out at once, it's like opening Pandora's box and, you know, allowing all the years of.
Why? Why would that happen? Why would that happen?
For someone who has unprocessed emotions, I think it could be dangerous, or someone with a mental illness or something like that, you know, to let it all out at once. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that's a healthy way of going about it, to be honest. Like trying to put a bouncy ball in a swimming pool, it's going to bounce up whether you like it or not. You know, you can't keep shoving it down. And so it needs to be expressed in a way that's healthy to you and not harmful to others or harmful to yourself. Some people,
But
they'll
wouldn't
catch
you
it to
say-
a release,
but wouldn't you
just
say,
cutting
though?
themselves. You know what I mean?
But wouldn't you say? Yeah, but that's still holding on to it. That's still holding
Yeah.
on to that negative energy, right? So like you said,
So-
if it's inside of you, it's harming you, right? Like
Okay.
the cow milk that's inside of
Yeah.
you, that if
Becomes
if
poison.
you don't take it out, right? So by still leaving it there, it's still poisonous,
Yeah.
right? So think of if somebody cuts themselves, is it really a release?
No,
Not
it's
really,
the idea of
because
what that release
Because they're really just putting it back into themselves, right? It's like if you took a shit and then you ate your shit again.
Yeah.
You're really just putting the same thing back into your own system, right?
I don't know about that example.
Yeah, it just makes sense. It's the negative thing,
You're right. I get what you're saying.
and you're
though. I
putting
get
the
what you're
negative
saying.
thing back into your
Yeah.
system, right?
I get
So
what
was
you're
it really a release?
saying.
Right. No.
Right.
So cutting
Just
it
perpetuating the same cycle.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So could you give me an example of letting it go all at once? What does that look like for you specifically?
It depends. It depends for what it is. I like to write things down. People make fun of journaling, right? Or people don't think journaling is effective, right? Just write it all fucking down there,
I think
or just say it out loud to whoever, but be
Yeah.
totally fucking honest and quit holding back. Quit holding back the thought, right? Express the thought. Say the thought. Say the experience. Say how it made you feel. Say what it made you want to do. Let those images, like if somebody makes you angry, I want you to shoot them in your head. Like, or someone made you angry in the past, I want you to stab him. I want you to run him over. I want you to fucking take a UFO and crash it into them. like, because that's what your mind wants to actually play out, right? But because we're like, oh, that's bad, we're actually repressing it in, right? So express the thought. It's not necessarily, it doesn't always have to do with your action, but with the expression of the thought, right? So
Yeah.
and then let it go, and then let it go after that.
and thoughts actually have, if you think about a thought, it also has like a surface and a texture. So the words that we speak, imagine it almost like a texture. Like it can be like bubble wrap, or it can be like metallic steel, your words. So depending on the word itself, a word can cut through like a butter knife, or it can be like a machete. So similarly, you want to give your words a surface and a texture and how they're making another person feel. And when you're in a relationship, oftentimes it's like, very sharp knives going at it, samurai fight. But when you start to understand that it's more about allowing that person, like especially the feminine, if you create a container and a safe, let's say padded room, I'm about to say like some kind of asylum type beat, like
Some kind of asylum type beat.
like you hold them in and you just allow them to do their feminine dance in crazy wilderness, melancholy story.
Mhm.
And you hold that space, meaning, and what you were asking me the other day, like, what does holding space mean for you? To me. And holding space for me is to be fully present and grounded in my masculine and allowing the person to vent and express what they need to in that very moment, knowing that I do not want those thought forms and entities and storylines to attach to my storyline. So it's keeping a slight distance. It's like if someone's reading a story to you about you, like I'm reading Ivan's story, but you're not the author, I'm the author. And so I'm reading it out to you. And so now you become curious about that other person. You start to become intrigued by their mannerisms and what makes them a holistic being. And you start delving into their psyche. This is why psychology is so interesting, man, because it's like you get to really explore people's dispositional factors. What kind of environments were they growing up in? How were they being taught what they were being taught? You know, and you start to understand them more holistically instead of just looking at this person is yelling at me now and that reminds me of my mother or whatever. Instead of that, you take that moment and you understand that they're yelling at you for their own reasons and their own specific reasons. Maybe they've seen their parents do that growing up, etc. So try to understand that it's not an end-all, be-all solution to break up with someone. Sometimes it's better to stick it out and try and push it to work. Relationships do take a lot of work. I know I worked through this with a past relationship for 4 years. You know, and there have been
relationships don't really take a lot of work.
And
actually, though, like high vibrational relationships don't take a lot of work. Actually.
Yeah, I'm not talking about high vibrational relationships, though. You know,
we're talking about your low vibrational relationships.
Yeah, that takes extra effort on the part of the individual. Where it feels like, you know, when you get butterflies in the stomach, anxiety, and all that stuff, that's from a low vibration energy actually. Because when you ultimately meet someone who's your partner or soulmate, if you want to call it that, you won't feel that. You'll just feel like, hey, this person is chill. Like I can just hang with this person, and this feels so natural, right? It's not like this tense feeling of like, you know, oh my God, I'm about to, oh my goodness, this person, she's so pretty. You're idealizing, you're putting on a pedestal in that case. But if it's someone who you truly vibe with, it's going to feel like you're sinking into them. And they're going to just automatically be into their reality. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, be easy on yourself during this time when you are in a breakup. It's a dark place in your mind. And so
I would say it's not a bad thing though.
Definitely not. It can be a catalyst.
All the breakups that I had have led me to be the person that I am today.
Let your breakups become breakthroughs. Ooh, that should be the title. You did it, bro.
That's a thumbnail.
That's the thumbnail as well.
Now it's ASMR, but
I'm gonna give this guy binaurals today. He's like, is that like ASMR? Like, is that what that is? He's like, no, not really.
ASMR. They probably listen to
ASMR is fun.
ASMR barbershop.
Yeah, virtual barbershop.
I like ASMR Angelique Kiss.
What?
Yeah, bro. Just like kisses into the microphone. Nice. And then she puts a little bit of lip gloss. She's like,
yeah, that's Smuckers, yeah.
Yeah, she puts nice.
You know, some people actually have a condition that they can't stand ASMR. They start to cringe and yeah.
Not everybody.
Whoever floats your banana boat.
It's like you like bananas and strawberries. Just because you like bananas doesn't mean you can't like strawberries. Doesn't mean you have to hate them. Just because you're not with that person anymore doesn't mean you have to hate them.
Absolutely not.
In fact, appreciate them that they spent all that time together. Like think about all the good times. And then the bad times, you know, they were only there briefly. They were only there, unless you had a relationship with a lot of breakups, or I mean with a lot of fights. Well then,
no, honestly, when you said that, no, bro. There are relationships where there are breakups within the relationship itself, but you still keep going. You know, I was experiencing like breaking up with my girlfriend, but we didn't actually break up. Like we would make up and try it again. And then find out like a week later, like, nah, that wasn't really a breakup. You know what I mean? So there's sometimes breakups within the bigger picture of the relationship. And, you know, it's never, it's always harmful when you go back to something that you knew in the heart of hearts wasn't beneficial, supportive to your highest version of you.
So what I really wanted to say was, what did you do to make that breakup? Yeah. What did you do to make sure that happened? Right? Because it happened, right? Let's just say it happened. Has it happened? It happened, right? Cool. Well, you did something that led to that breakup. You should take responsibility for all of your actions. Right? If you guys were in a fight, it's not just her fault. It's not just his fault. You did something that grew it, that made that grow into a fight. You did something to continue to ignite fire into it. Instead of allowing it to burn out that person's energy, there was something in you that wanted it to happen.
Also, try and remember the person for their best selves and the good times you had together. That always helps as well. And sometimes people have this negative thing towards breakups, like, man, fuck that bitch, I don't want to, all that. That's trauma, again, energy being portrayed through pain body expression, like, man, forget her or whatever. But, you guys had some good times together. It's important to acknowledge those memories that made you strengthen the personality of the man that you are today, and understand that helped you to evolve to this next level of your life. And
anyway, guys.
Yeah, be compassionate with yourself, homie. All right?
Be compassionate.
All right, guys.
Be the best, forget the rest. Our resilience. Check out my book. It's coming in a few months. It's titled Command Respect, Learn to Set Boundaries Using Consciousness, the Law of Attraction, and Psychology.
Man, I'm excited for that, man. It's pretty good. I mean, you want to Also, I'm looking for 10 guys right now doing a prototype program called the Mystic Masculine. This is all about exploring your full potential as a male in the spectrum of what we call life. So this will just give you the tools, the techniques, the strategies to be able to explore different male archetypes and embody those very deeply and ingrain them within your. We're gonna look at archetypes that aren't talked about even in the Jungian archetype list. So things like the beast, which is the primal caveman side, and the God self, which is also going to be very interesting to explore. So yeah, if you are interested in that, shoot me a message at Flowzone Academy on Instagram, and I also have Verbal Vinyasa, which is a program I'm really fine-tuning it to help your communication forward. Obviously, Flowzone Academy. And yeah, that's it, guys. Have an amazing day. May the flow be with you. Peace.